Good Sunday afternoon and welcome to yet another episode of My PI Dream. I was actually planning on taking the Sunday off and relaxing before the big day tomorrow when we actually break ground out of our property. But I received so much email and private messages concerning a couple of questions from the initial video that I did, How to Build a House in the Philippines, with regard to things like the percentage of the work progress and the work schedule. I thought I'd throw that out real quick before we actually go into the build phase, because once we go into the build phase, I'm going to be focusing on the day-to-day videos and information about the build itself. So without further delay, let's get today's video underway. Let me try to answer a bunch of the questions that viewers had about the work schedule, the workflow, the actual setting up percentages and providing funding to your contractor. I answered a lot of that in the video, How to Build a House in the Philippines, but I didn't go into detail as far as the actual spreadsheet, which maybe this will clarify. So let's take a look at the percentage of the workflow. And the percentage of the workflow is basically going to tell you how much building should be completed at certain phases of the construction process. So what you should do, you should ask your builder to provide you with a percentage of work progress. And he should be able to tell you when 30% is done, this is what the content of that work should be in that 30%. And you should schedule it at certain times. It could be different from the numbers that I have here, but I spoke with several other people who built houses around here, and they said this is the standard, this is the norm. So let's look at the first 30%. In the first 30% of my work schedule, my contractor should complete the following: the layout and excavation, columns, footings, and tie bars, ground concrete slabs, crawl space, second concrete slabs, beams, and stairs, concrete works, masonry, and the roof beams, roof beams, septic tank, and cistern tank. Now that's quite a lot. That's going to be done in the first 30% of the building period. And you should see at that period, when all that's done, you should see a lot of progress done. You should actually see the frame of your house is already up. And a lot of your septic tank and your cistern, if you have a cistern, and everything but the roof shingles and all that won't be on at that point, but it will be coming up pretty soon. The trusses roof. So that's the first 30%. Then what you're going to do, you're going to make a payment at that point, whatever's defined in your architect owner agreement contract that you signed prior to starting the build. Then they're going to go into the next phase. They're going to start, and they're going to take some of the funding that you have, buy more materials, and what they're going to do, they're going to pay the labor, and then they're going to continue on working. So they're going to go into the next 30%, which is going to bring you up to 60% of your project completed. So in the next 30%, you're going to see things like the plumbing, sanitary, and electrical, rough-in, trusses and roof installation, door jambs, plastering, ceiling works, floor finishes, concrete moldings, fencing, carpentry, cabinets, and for me, you might not have this, it might be called something else. It's composite timber railing installation. The composite timber is going to basically, for our railing, we're using the decking material that's of composite material. We originally had thought about doing concrete balustrades. Then we thought about doing ironworks, and we hadn't even looked in the composite material. And the disadvantage about the concrete, if you go around and look at a lot of the houses, and most of them have concrete balustrades around the Philippines, but they're susceptible to mold and mildew, and they just look old really quick. So then we thought about doing iron railing, and the iron railing is actually really nice. And you can actually, if you're doing security, you can integrate the iron railing that you have for any patios or porches. You can integrate that with more iron railing that matches it for some more security on your house if you need to do that. But then we were looking in one of our suppliers, and we saw some composite material like I'm used to seeing in the US new wood composite material that you do for decking and railing and things like that. And I talked with my architect, and he said he thought that would be a great idea, and they could paint it the color that I'm looking for with a very good coat of, and it'd be very easy to maintain. So I said, let's go with that. Okay, I kind of went off track here, so let's get back again. So now we've completed 60%, and at the 60% point, then you're going to make another payment so that he has money for the next 30% of the things that need to be completed. Which at that point, you've got a lot of stuff completed on your house. The next thing is going to be windows installation, plumbing and sanitary fixtures installation, ironmongery installation, lighting fixtures installation. You understand what most of these are and what but you might not know what the ironmongery installation is. And I had the same question. I'm like, is that some of the railing or the security bars or anything? And it's the hardware for the doors. It's the hinges and the knobs and the locks and things like that. So then you're up to 90%. You have 90% of your house completed at this point right here. You're going to make another payment at this point, and you're going to finish up your project. We'll still have 10% more to complete. So then they're going to work on that. And that's basically going to be the painting, dry run, and cleanup. Now your house is all completed. So you're saying to yourself, well, I've made an initial payment to get them going. I made a payment at 30%, I made a payment at 60%, I made a payment at 90%, and I made a payment at 100%. Well, no, you don't make that payment at 100% like I explained in the How to Build a House in the Philippines video. That last one, that final payment, whatever that's going to be, whatever you've negotiated, that's the one that I said you need to negotiate that in your contractor or your architect/owner agreement, so that that payment doesn't get paid in possibly 90, 180 days or 365 days, 3 months, 6 months, or a year later, after the house has had an opportunity to settle and there's any defects or anything like that. Because the reason being, I was explaining that you don't pay the payment at the very final conclusion of the job at that point, because it gives no incentive for the contractor to come back and fix anything later on if it breaks or if you have any defects. So let's talk a little bit about the work schedule. So you want to know how the actual work schedule, where they're going to be at specific times of this. For me, it's 8 months, 280 days. So I want to know, where are we going to be at, and what should I expect during what parts of the year. Your contractor should also provide you with a work schedule, and your work schedule is going to be very similar to the work progress. And they're gonna run tandemly, hand in hand with each other, but you're gonna actually be able to see at what point on my calendar should I have all this work done. In case you need to schedule things like vacation or go someplace, or you can't be around to monitor this, you might want to strategically plan a specific time to be away from your work site. So we should provide you with something like this, the work schedule. And it's going to be the same categories that you saw in the first one: general requirements, temporary facilities, earthworks, formwork, steelworks, roughing in, concrete works, masonry, plastering, roof, trusses, tinsmith, plumbing, sanitary works, doors and windows, ceiling, carpentry, floors, finishes, electrical, painting, and cleanup. So if you look at the schedule, you can see we are starting tomorrow. Tomorrow is the 4th week of February. So you can see within the 4th week of February, I have the general requirements, temporary facilities, and earthworks. So basically that was what was on the first page here, the layout and excavation, and then they're going to start doing, most of that is, that's going to be the layout and excavation for week 4 of February. Then it will go into March. March is going to be some more earthworks that are going to be done for the first 2 weeks, and in that second week, we're going to start going into formwork, steelworks, roughing in. Basically all the rebar, setting up all the rebar before they actually start doing the pouring of any of the concrete. And then in week 3 of March, they're actually going to start pouring concrete. And you can see the concrete's going to be a long phase. It's going to last from 3rd week of March until the 2nd week of May, because the houses in the Philippines are all concrete. It's not like we build in the U.S. In the U.S. we build with a lot of wood. So there's going to be a lot of weeks. Well, I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks of concrete pouring. But once all this concrete gets poured, you're basically going to see your house, and everything else is going to be finished work on top of the concrete that's being poured at that point. And then so on and so forth. The other additional items, the roof and the doors and the ceilings and the floors and electrical. So you can see the pattern they have on here. So if you want to look at how this one's done and when they're expected to be done, if you're going to be following me in the videos as we're going along, hopefully we're actually following this timetable, and we can, hopefully we don't have a problem with rain or anything that causes us to move this time schedule anyway out. So you see the conclusion or the completion of the project says it's supposed to be by the end of September, but optimistic for me, I've already in my mind prepared for probably mid-October. So hopefully this clears up a little bit about the information about the work schedule and the work progress. And the only other thing that I did not mention in the video about how to build a house in the Philippines is there was an additional cost that I failed to discuss, and it's not, everybody doesn't get this cost. This cost will have to do with if you're building in a subdivision similar to the one that I'm building here, and you're going to have to pay for a construction bond. And what the construction bond is, to allow all these trucks and the material movement coming into your community, so in the event that they damage something, you have to leave a construction bond based upon so many pesos based upon the square meters of your house. I don't remember what that exact amount is right now. So that sits in basically like a holding bank account, and when the job is all over, the people leave, and if there's any damages, then what they're going to do is it's sort of like having a rental deposit on your house when you're doing a rent. When you leave, or when the contractors leave, if there's any damage, you're going to pull funds out of that bond, that construction bond, and then whatever is left over, you get back. And if they didn't do any damage, then you're going to get all that funding from the construction bond back. I just wanted to mention that because I forgot that in the first video. So hopefully today's video you found useful, and if you have any comments down in the comment section, and I've been pretty good to answer all of your questions. I hope I've been answering them to your satisfaction, and I appreciate all the folks that are engaged with me along with this process, and I think we're going to have fun over the next 8 months. So that's going to be it for today. If you enjoyed today's video, give me a thumbs up. Please share, and if you have not subscribed, please subscribe, and I will see you next time on the job site tomorrow morning, bright and early. Take care.